They say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. Mine was until it became the day I discovered who people really were. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Sometimes the worst day of your life is actually the beginning of your best one. I'm Maya. I'm 32, and I teach 3rd grade in a small town outside Sacramento. I'm the person who believes in happy endings, who sees the good in everyone, who keeps a gratitude journal and actually uses it. My students call me Miss Maya, and I've spent the last decade teaching them that kindness matters, that people are fundamentally good, that trust is the foundation of everything. I believed all of that. Right up until I didn't. Ryan Mitchell swept into my life 3 years ago at a charity fundraiser my school was hosting. He was everything I thought I wanted: successful, charming, the kind of man who remembered your coffee order and texted you good morning every single day. He sold luxury real estate, drove a Tesla, and had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. Everyone loved Ryan. My parents loved Ryan. My friends loved Ryan. His family loved me. Especially Jessica. Jessica was married to Ryan's older brother, Marcus. She'd been part of the family for 5 years by the time I came along, and she took me under her wing immediately. Sisters, she'd say, linking her arm through mine at family dinners. We're going to be actual sisters. When Ryan proposed on a beach in Maui, photographer, hidden in the rocks, ring custom designed, the works, Jessica was the first person I called after my parents. You need to ask me to be your maid of honor, she'd laughed. I've been planning this moment since Ryan introduced us. Of course I asked her. Who else would I ask? My best friend from college had moved to London. My sister lived in Boston with 3 kids under 5. Jessica was there. Jessica understood. Jessica was family. Or so I thought. We spent a year planning the perfect wedding. And I do mean perfect. We'd rented an entire vineyard estate in Sonoma for the weekend, rolling hills, century-old oaks, a villa with guest houses scattered across the property. 100 guests, all of whom had traveled to be there. My parents, who'd saved for years, insisted on paying. Our only daughter, my father said, eyes wet. Nothing but the best for our Maya. The rehearsal dinner was Friday night under string lights on the villa's terrace. I remember looking around at everyone I loved, all gathered in one place. My parents dancing badly to the DJ. Ryan's parents laughing with mine. Marcus and Jessica at a table near the wine bar, except, I realize now, I didn't see them together much that night. They were always on opposite sides of the room. I didn't think anything of it. There were other things I didn't think anything of. The way Jessica always seemed to touch Ryan's arm when she talked to him. How she knew his work schedule better than I did. The inside jokes I didn't quite understand. Late-night texts about wedding planning that I'd walk in on, both of them looking up too quickly from their phones. Trust is the foundation of everything, Miss Maya, I'd told my students 100 times. I trusted them. Saturday morning, I woke up in the villa's master suite at 6 a.m. It was August 10th, and the Northern California sky was already turning that perfect shade of gold. I lay in bed for a moment, trying to memorize everything. The way the light filtered through the lace curtains, the sound of birds in the oak trees. The fact that in 8 hours, I'd be married to the man I loved. My mom and bridesmaids arrived at 7, with mimosas and pastries from the bakery in town. We spent the morning the way you're supposed to, laughing, doing our hair and makeup, taking 1,000 photos. My mom kept crying happy tears. The makeup artist kept having to redo her work. Jessica was supposed to arrive at 9. By 9:30, she still wasn't there. She texted, my cousin Amber said, checking her phone. Running late. Overslept. Strange. Jessica had been the most organized person through all of this. She'd had checklists for her checklists. But okay. People oversleep. The ceremony was at 2 p.m. By noon, I was in my dress, a simple silk sheath that made me feel elegant and grown up, nothing like the princess gowns I'd imagined as a little girl. This was better. This was real. By 12:30, Jessica still wasn't there. Her phone's going to voicemail, Amber said, frowning now. Maybe she's driving, my mom suggested. You know the cell service out here is spotty. By 1 o'clock, I was getting nervous. Jessica had my bouquet. She had the marriage license that we'd forgotten to give to the officiant yesterday. She had my great-grandmother's earrings that I was supposed to wear as my something borrowed. By 1:15, my wedding coordinator, a woman named Patricia who'd done this for 20 years and had the calm energy of someone who'd seen everything, knocked on the suite door. "Maya, honey? Can I talk to you for a second?" I stepped into the hallway, still barefoot, dress swishing against the tile. "We can't find Ryan." For a second, I didn't process it. "What do you mean you can't find him? He's not in his suite. His groomsmen haven't seen him since breakfast. His phone is going to voicemail." The first flutter of real fear hit my stomach. Did something happen? An accident? "His car is still here. We've checked the property." Patricia's face was carefully neutral. "His brother Marcus is looking for him now." I went cold. Because suddenly, pieces were clicking together. Jessica missing. Ryan missing. Both phones to voicemail. "Where's the guest house?" I heard myself ask. "The one by the pool?" Patricia's expression shifted slightly. "Maya. Where is it?" She told me. I didn't wait. I didn't put on shoes. I just walked out of the villa in my wedding dress, my mom calling after me, and crossed the manicured lawn toward the pool area. I could hear people behind me, my mom, Patricia, Amber, but I didn't stop. The guest house was small and stone, covered in climbing roses. Beautiful. Private. The kind of place you'd put in a wedding album. There was a keycard reader on the door, but it was cracked open slightly. I could hear sounds inside. Movement. Voices. My hand was steady when I pushed the door open wider. Strange. That. You'd think your hands would shake at a moment like this. Mine didn't. The interior was dark, curtains drawn. It smelled like expensive cologne and wine and something else I didn't want to identify. On the floor near the door. A man's jacket. Ryan's jacket, the one he'd been wearing at breakfast. A woman's sandals. Not mine. I found the light switch. The bedroom was to the left, and the door was open. In the bed silk sheets I recognized from the registry, the ones we'd requested for the honeymoon suite, were Ryan and Jessica. They were asleep. Or they had been. The light made them stir. Jessica sat up first. She saw me standing there in my wedding dress, and her face went through an entire journey in 3 seconds. Confusion. Recognition. Horror. "Maya," she started. Ryan's eyes opened. He saw me. For a moment, just one moment, I saw actual fear on his face. Then it shifted into something else. Desperation. The look of someone about to lie very, very hard. "This isn't what it looks like," he said. Interesting. That was his opening line. Not "I'm sorry." Not "I can explain." But "this isn't what it looks like." I heard someone gasp behind me. My mother. She'd followed me down here. So had Patricia. So had Amber and 2 of my bridesmaids. "Then what is it?" I asked Ryan. My voice sounded calm. Distant. Like it was coming from someone else. "Because it looks like you're in bed with my maid of honor 2 hours before our wedding." "We didn't mean," Jessica tried. "Stop." I said. Just that. Stop. And something in my voice made her close her mouth. I looked at Ryan. Really looked at him. This man I'd spent 3 years with. This man I'd planned a life with. This man I'd trusted with everything. "How long?" I asked. "Maya. Please. How long?" The silence stretched. Then Jessica, her voice small. 6 months. 6 months. I'd been finalizing seating charts and choosing napkin colors for 6 months. Addressing invitations. Having dress fittings. All while this had been happening. "Where's Marcus?" I asked, still in that calm, distant voice. Jessica's face crumpled. Of course. Marcus. Her husband. Ryan's brother. The man who'd toasted us at the rehearsal dinner last night with tears in his eyes, saying how happy he was that his little brother had found someone as perfect as me. I turned to Patricia. "Can you please find Marcus and bring him here?" "And Ryan's parents." "And mine." "Not my dad, just my mom." "She's already here." "Maya, wait." Ryan scrambled to grab the sheet, suddenly modest. "Don't do this." We can talk about this privately. Privately? I looked at him. You mean the way you and Jessica did this privately? For 6 months? It just happened. Nothing just happens, Ryan. You made choices. Multiple choices. Every time you texted her late at night. Every time you met up with her. Every time you lied to me and to Marcus. Those weren't accidents. They were choices. I heard footsteps running across the lawn. Marcus's voice. Someone said he appeared in the doorway, breathing hard. He looked at me. At his wife in the bed. At his brother. I watched his face break. Mark, Jessica sobbed. I'm so sorry. I never meant. You never meant to. Marcus's voice was raw. You never meant to sleep with my brother? You never meant to destroy my marriage? You never meant to do this on their wedding day? He turned to Ryan. You son of a bitch. Ryan was getting dressed now, fumbling with his pants. Mark, man, I swear we didn't plan this. You didn't plan it? I said. You didn't plan the 6 months of sneaking around? The lies? Being here, in this room, on my wedding day? I looked at Jessica, who was trying to wrap the sheet around herself. You brought a backup wedding dress, didn't you? Her face told me everything. I saw it, I continued. Hanging in the bathroom. A white dress. You weren't just having an affair. You were hoping, what? That he'd leave me for you? That you'd get the wedding instead? That's not. Jessica started. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't say it's not what it looks like. Don't say you didn't mean to. Don't insult me more than you already have. Ryan's parents arrived. Then my father, despite my request, someone must have told him. More bridesmaids. Groomsmen. The space was getting crowded, everyone packed into this small guest house, staring at the scene. Ryan's mother, Catherine, looked between her sons. What is happening? I turned to face everyone. All these people who'd traveled here. Who'd bought gifts and gotten hotel rooms and rearranged their lives to be here for us. Who believed we were in love. Who thought today was a celebration. I want everyone to know the truth, I said. Not a version Ryan spins later. Not a story where somehow this gets twisted into something else. The truth. I took a breath. My voice was steady. 2 hours before I was supposed to marry Ryan, I found him in bed with Jessica. They've been having an affair for 6 months. While we planned our wedding. While I chose flowers and Marcus helped Ryan pick out his suit. While Jessica helped me address invitations to this wedding. I looked at Ryan. While you told me every day that you loved me. My father's hand was on my shoulder. Solid. Real. Let's go, mija, he said quietly. One more thing, I said. I pulled off my engagement ring, 3 carats, princess cut, platinum band. Ryan had proposed with this ring. Had gone down on one knee in front of a photographer. Had told me it symbolized forever. I looked at the ring for a long moment. Then I walked to the kitchen area of the guest house, where someone had left the top tier of our wedding cake, a practice tier the baker had sent ahead. Beautiful white fondant with sugar flowers. I pressed the ring into the top of the cake, right into the center of a sugar rose. This is how sweet your lies taste, I said. Then I turned and walked out of the guest house, through the crowd of stunned guests, and back across the lawn to the villa. I didn't run. I didn't cry. I just walked in my wedding dress and bare feet through the vineyard I'd thought would be the backdrop for the happiest day of my life. Behind me, I could hear voices rising. Ryan shouting. Marcus shouting. Jessica crying. People arguing. But I kept walking. Patricia caught up with me at the villa steps. What do you need, honey? Cancel the wedding, I said. Keep the venue for the day. Tell the guests what happened. I don't want any rumors or cover stories. The food is paid for. Let everyone eat. Drink. Have a party. Just not a wedding. She nodded once. You got it. In the master suite, my mom helped me out of the dress. Neither of us spoke. I put on jeans and a t-shirt. My bridesmaid makeup was still perfect. My hair was still in its elegant updo. I looked ridiculous. Amber knocked and came in with my phone. It's blowing up, she warned. I had 47 missed calls. 63 texts. I scrolled through them numbly. Catherine. Ryan's mother. Maya. Please call me. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Please. Friends. Oh my God, are you okay? Relatives. What can we do? And then, at the bottom, one from Marcus. I'm sorry too. For what it's worth, you deserve better. So much better. I stared at that text for a long time. There was a knock on the door. My father's voice. Maya? Catherine is asking to see you. I almost said no. But something made me open the door. Catherine stood there, and she'd been crying. Behind her, Ryan's father, Thomas, looked like he'd aged 10 years. May we come in? Catherine asked. I stepped aside. Catherine sat on the edge of the bed where I'd woken up that morning thinking it was my wedding day. I don't have words to express how sorry I am, she said. What Ryan did, what Jessica did, it's unforgivable. It is, I agreed. I want you to know that Thomas and I are not making excuses for him. We're not asking you to forgive him. We just wanted to tell you, person to person, that we're devastated. And we're so sorry. She paused. You were going to be our daughter. We were so happy when Ryan brought you home. You're everything we could have wanted for him. And he threw it away for, her voice broke. Thomas put his hand on his wife's shoulder. We understand if you never want to see any of us again, he said. But we wanted you to know, this is on Ryan. Not on you. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. I felt something crack inside me. Not breaking, more like ice thawing. Thank you, I whispered. For saying that. Catherine stood and hugged me. A real hug. A mother's hug. If you ever need anything, she said against my hair, you call me. I mean that. Wedding or no wedding, I care about you. They left. I sat on the bed where I'd woken up so happy and cried for the first time. Not for Ryan. For what I'd thought we had. For the future I'd imagined. For the trust I'd given so freely and had thrown back in my face. My mom sat with me and didn't say a word. Just held me while I cried. Downstairs, I could hear music. Laughter. Patricia had told the guests, and apparently, they decided to have a party anyway. Someone started a Maya liberation toast. I could hear cheering. Despite everything, I almost smiled. That night, after everyone had left or gone to their guest rooms, I sat on the villa's terrace with a glass of wine and looked out at the vineyard. Marcus found me there. Can I sit? He asked. I nodded. We sat in silence for a while. Then Marcus said, I've been going through my phone. Looking back. All the signs I missed. Me too, I admitted. Jessica texted Ryan 68 times in July alone, Marcus said. I never thought, wedding planning, right? That's what she said. She was helping with wedding planning. They were at my apartment last month, I said. Both of them. They said they were picking up some decorations Jessica was storing there for me. I was at work. They had 2 hours alone in my apartment. Marcus made a sound like he'd been punched. I keep thinking about all the times I should have known, I continued. But then I realize I shouldn't have had to know. I shouldn't have had to question. They were supposed to be the people I trusted most. Your wife. My fiancé. We shouldn't have had to be detectives in our own lives. No, Marcus agreed. We shouldn't have. I'm going to tell you something, I said. And I want you to really hear it, because I need to hear it too. This isn't our failure. We didn't fail by trusting them. They failed by being untrustworthy. That's on them. Marcus looked at me, and in the moonlight, I could see tears on his face. When did you get so wise? About 4 hours ago, I said. Right around the time I put a 3-carat ring in a cake. He laughed. Actually laughed. I heard about that. That was badass. I have my moments. We sat there for a while longer, 2 people who'd woken up that morning expecting completely different days. 2 people who'd been betrayed by the same 2 people. 2 people who were, in a strange way, in this together. What are you going to do? Marcus asked. I have no idea, I admitted. I'm supposed to be on a plane to Bora Bora tomorrow for my honeymoon. I'm supposed to be moving my stuff into Ryan's house next week. I stopped. I'm supposed to be living a completely different life than I'm going to be living. Yeah, Marcus said. Same. But here's what I do know, I continued. I know I'm not going to let this break me. I know I'm going to go home to my little classroom and my third graders, and I'm going to teach them that kindness still matters. That people can still be good, even when some people aren't. That trust is still the foundation of everything, but that it's okay to be careful about who you give it to. Marcus nodded. You're going to be okay, Maya. So are you. Maybe, he said. In about 1,000 years. Give or take, I agreed. The next morning, I packed my things, said goodbye to my parents, and drove back to Sacramento. My apartment, the one I'd been planning to leave, suddenly felt like the safest place in the world. I called the school district. I know I'm supposed to have this week off for my honeymoon, I told my principal, but I'd really like to come in and work on my classroom if that's okay. Oh, honey, Principal Chen said. She'd heard. Of course she'd heard. Small town. Take the time you need. I need to work, I said. Please. So, I did. I spent the week that was supposed to be my honeymoon organizing my classroom, creating new bulletin boards, planning lessons for the fall. My students would be back in 3 weeks, and I'd be ready. I didn't talk to Ryan. He texted. Called. Left voicemails that started with "I'm sorry" and ended with "Can we talk?" I blocked his number. Jessica tried too. Long, rambling texts about how it just happened. How she never meant to hurt me, how she was confused, and made mistakes, and if I could just understand. I blocked her too. Marcus, though. Marcus texted once a week. Just checking in. Sometimes just a meme. Sometimes. How are you holding up? We were in this strange club neither of us had wanted to join, and somehow, that made us friends. 3 months later, I was at a coffee shop on a Saturday morning, grading papers, when someone knocked over a water bottle at the next table and it rolled under mine. Sorry, a voice said. That's mine. I looked up. A man about my age, dark hair, kind eyes, reaching for the bottle. No problem, I said. He started to leave, then turned back. You're a teacher? I glanced at the papers spread in front of me. 3rd grade. How'd you guess? The handwriting. Very 3rd grade. He smiled. I'm a teacher too. High school English. Brave, I said. I couldn't handle teenagers. I couldn't handle being around someone shorter than me all day, he countered. I'm Alex. Maya. We talked for 2 hours. About teaching, about books, about the ridiculous things students say. It was easy. Comfortable. When he asked for my number, I almost said no. Almost said I wasn't ready. But then I thought about what I'd told Marcus on the terrace that night, that people can still be good. That trust is still the foundation of everything. I gave him my number. 6 months later, Alex and I were dating. He knew the whole story I'd told him on our 3rd date, needing him to understand why I was careful, why I asked questions, why I needed to take things slow. He'd listened and said, take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. And he didn't. A year after the wedding that never was, I ran into Catherine at the grocery store. We stared at each other across the produce section for a long moment. Then she walked over. How are you? She asked. I'm good, I said. And I meant it. Really good. I'm glad. She paused. For what it's worth, Ryan and Jessica aren't together. It fell apart a few months after everything happened. Good, I said simply. Marcus is doing better too, Catherine added. He started dating someone. A nice woman from his gym. I know, I said. He told me. We still text sometimes. Catherine looked surprised, then pleased. I'm glad you have each other. Even after, she gestured vaguely. Everything. We survived the same thing, I said. That creates a bond. It does. Catherine touched my arm. You look happy, Maya. I am, I said. I really am. And it was true. I had my classroom, my students who made me laugh every single day. I had Alex, who was patient and kind and honest, who texted me throughout the day just to say hi, who never made me wonder where he was or who he was with. I had my parents, my friends, my life. I had myself back. 18 months after that August day, Alex and I got married at the courthouse. Just us, our parents, and a handful of friends. No elaborate venue, no guest houses. No maid of honor. Just two people who loved each other, promising to be honest and kind and worthy of trust. It was perfect. That night, lying in bed next to my husband, I thought about that girl who'd woken up on what was supposed to be her wedding day. How excited she'd been. How naive. How completely unprepared for what was about to happen. I thought I'd be angry at her for not seeing the signs. For trusting too easily. For believing too completely. But I wasn't. That girl had taught me something important. The betrayal wasn't her fault. The lies weren't her responsibility. She'd loved honestly and trusted freely, and that wasn't a weakness. That was strength. The weakness was theirs. Ryan's and Jessica's. They were the ones who'd chosen to lie, to sneak around, to hurt the people who loved them most. I'd spent a year in therapy learning to forgive myself for not seeing it coming. Learning that being betrayed doesn't mean you were stupid, it means you were human. It means you loved people who didn't deserve it. And learning that surviving betrayal, that coming out the other side stronger and wiser, and still able to trust, that was the real victory. Sometimes my third graders ask me, "Miss Maya, have you ever had your heart broken?" I tell them yes. I tell them it hurt worse than anything. But I also tell them that hearts are stronger than we think. That they can break and heal and still work just fine. Better than fine, even. Better than before. Because that's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't just show you who people really are. It shows you who you really are too. And I'm someone who can walk across a vineyard in a wedding dress and bare feet, put a ring in a cake, and still believe in happy endings. Just with better people this time. My students don't need to know all the details. They just need to know that trust is still the foundation of everything. That kindness still matters. That people can still be good. And that sometimes, the worst day of your life is actually the beginning of your best one. They say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. Mine wasn't. But every day after every single day I wake up next to Alex, every day I walk into my classroom, every day I choose to trust again despite everything, those days are happy. And that's so much better than one perfect day that was built on lies. I'm Maya. I'm 32 years old. I teach third grade. I believe in happy endings. And I learned that the hard way. But I learned it.